Welcome. You are listening to and perhaps watching Hot Sauce Sports. I'm your host, Luis Delariz. I am joined by Terry Tam. How's it going, Terry?
Great. I feel like I can wear this shirt in public. I can't wear this shirt in public, but I can wear it around the house. If I'm walking down the street, anytime like a 35-year-old white guy is walking down the street and he has a shirt that says Funko on it, I think people look at him differently.
I will say, there's a whole part of my wardrobe that's like for gardening and for wearing around the house that I would never wear in public.
Oh, 100%.
Many of them include, I have a ton of jerseys, most of them given to me. I'm not a jersey in public guy. I just never been, because
we spoke about this on the live stream the other day. Like, who's wearing jerseys out in public unless it's like a basketball jersey and you have to have nice arms for that, and it's like,
so you gotta be mega ripped and also age appropriate too.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe 10 years ago we could have pulled it off. Now, not so much. But even going to a game, I'm always coming from a bar to go to a game or leaving the game to go to a bar. I don't want to still be wearing the jersey after the game or before the game, right?
Yeah, that's the thing too, is you got to really prepare for the evening. But I don't really go. If I go to a Habs game, I'll wear my jersey, but I won't wear it to the game. I'll wear it at the game, if you know what I mean. I'll hold it in my hand, and then I'll just go home after. I usually don't go out. But if I do, then it's a problem. But I usually have my car, so I'll just dump it in my car.
So Eagle, by the way, is producing the show as always. Eagle, sorry about that. I forgot your
that guy
introduction.
So I figure I wouldn't be a fun uncle, but I'd be the uncle you leave your kid with on pedagogical days. Although I'm pretty sure wearing a shirt that says peduncle is probably not the best option.
Yeah, peduncle isn't a good one. I mean, maybe we should make sure to say peduncle. Pedagogical days.
Pedo uncle doesn't make it any better.
No, yeah, I was gonna go with trunkle. You're a trusted uncle.
That's all right.
Plus, you got a trunk hanging between your legs.
There we go.
There
it is.
I came across something, and this is there's two things in here that I think it's both a result of age, home ownership, that kind of stuff, and I think Eagle and I might actually have this one thing in common, and I think Terry's on the fence, but I'll start with the first part of it. Every year, I get a wasp nest building in the same spot. It's right where I go in and out of the house through the patio door in the back. There's right at the corner there, wasps build a nest there. I don't know if you guys have dealt with this. Terry, I know you had a house before Eagle. I know you're moving into your house soon, so maybe you'll have to deal with this soon.
At my dad's house, we used to get a wasp nest underneath our pool slide. This is where I would brush off my shoulder and kind of, do the rich privilege type of explanation. But yeah, we always had a wasp nest grow under our pool slide, and it was annoying.
I love how always under and pool slider in the same sentence for Eagle. It's incredibly frustrating. Duke actually had an experience. Duke, our graphite, he had an experience that he woke up one morning and his bedroom was full of wasps. And it was like a horror movie. They built 4 nests inside of his walls. Imagine waking up to that. This is pre-pandemic era, just super, super, super strange scenario. Never had that, but I got to see this wasp nest up close and personal. And so I haven't knocked it down yet. I'm going to take care of that this weekend. But when I see it, it has this it's really cool. It's got a honeycomb kind of design, right? Like you would expect. And it made me think of a loofah, the thing you use in the shower. And then I realized, I lived alone for a couple years before moving in with my wife. Eagle, you lived alone too. Mm-hmm. I only started using a loofah about 2 years ago, and I gotta say, I don't give a shit if it's not manly or not. That shit can froth up some fucking soap. It is a beauty.
What kind of a loofah? The one with the stick on it?
No, mine's on the string and it's pink and it's awesome. It's really spongy.
The little thing. Yeah, I've been using those since I was 16.
See, I think because again, so you went from living at home with your family to then I don't think you ever had that period of living alone, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I had a half a year last year.
Eagle, you and I, we were doing prison showers before our girls, right? Like we were just
I
using our
still
hands
do
to
prison showers to this day because my girlfriend's an esthetician and she's completely against it. Not for the
Really?
fact that it helps you exfoliate, but because it accumulates there's so much dirt in there, you can never actually wash it out. So you should theoretically be throwing it out all the time. And she's like, "What's the point then?"
Fair.
What, the loofahs?
Yeah.
So a prison shower is soap to body, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, I still do soap to body once in a while, but sometimes if like, it depends if I have like if my elbows are a little ashy, I'll break out like I have this Axe one, where on one side it's a little harder and the other side is like the loofah, like the soft.
I remember the commercial for that. Yeah, I would do like the undercarriage and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll take that and I'll like swipe up the gooch. You know what I mean? Like I'll do that stuff. But like for the most part, I'm for the most part I'm going soap to body for sure.
I used to. I'm converted though. I'm my skin has been forever soft. Next time we're actually in person, I'll let you guys touch my face. So,
I would never touch your face.
Good luck on Saturday. You may not have a choice. Saturday, we were invited to a golf tournament with from our sponsor, Mike's Barbecue Rub. We're super excited to be taking part. It's a fundraiser, although I've forgotten what we're raising funds for. So hopefully Terry remembers. Nice.
I want to say leukemia.
That's a good guess, and it is correct. Thank God.
So, yeah, okay. I don't want to be wrong. So.
Leukemia. We're raising money to stop leukemia. So against leukemia.
We're anti-leukemia.
We're anti-cancer.
I actually changed my license plate. I actually saw a license plate the other day that said F cancer, so I'm gonna change mine to F leukemia just for this weekend.
It'll be an expensive weekend for you.
Yeah.
And it turns out my real estate agent is sponsoring a hole. So yeah, that's a thing.
Oh yeah, who's your real estate agent?
Well, maybe you'll get a percentage off your new home.
Yeah, it's if it matters, anyone in Montreal, it's Group Baronello. Ask for Jerry. He's awesome.
Whoa! What's with the free advertising? Fuck out of here.
Hey, he got me a good price on my house. So
I don't care. What did he get me?
All right, so I'm doing my real estate
house.
I'm doing my real estate license in August. So if you ever buy again, you're gonna have to use me. I don't care about this Baronello doofus. I'm your sales guy
from now on. From henceforth.
But I will use Baronello up until that point.
We got a lot of stuff coming up today. We have a guest. I love when we get wrestling dudes on. I like dudes who talk, and wrestling dudes are perhaps the best for that. Frankie Verrillo is going to be coming on the show. He's going to be joining us shortly. He's joining us courtesy of Torture Chamber, which is a Montreal-based wrestling league. And before that,
Stefan Paulson wrestles out of there.
Friend of the show.
Still does, but I'm pretty sure he does.
Hopefully they're enemies. We'll find out once we have the interview going. For now, though, we have a ton to get to. It's time for the news.
Wrong music.
That wasn't actually music. That's just Peace fighting with his mic.
No, I hear the intro music.
Terry, it's the news.
I heard the intro music.
I also heard the intro.
The damn.
Did you really?
I heard that. Yeah.
Not here.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was you, absolutely, and it was me fighting with the microphone. I was struggling with it the entire first segment. I was hoping to have the cutaway card so no one would see me do it at least, but nope, nothing worked well in that transition.
You know who's an underrated guest that we had a long time ago? Well, even not a long time ago, about a year ago. We were in studio. It was Mike Familiat, the Bigfoot guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just remembered him randomly. Nope, not this way. I just remembered him randomly. He was a very good guest.
It was excellent. I loved him.
Yeah, we're talking about Bigfoot. Fuck, how many times we get to talk about Bigfoot?
Not enough.
Nope.
We need to get him back. Find out how it's going. See if he's made any progress. If COVID has affected his finding. If big feet. What are the plural of Bigfoots? Bigfoots?
Big feet?
Eagle? What are the plural of Bigfoot?
Bigfoots.
I would just go Bigfoots. Or Bigfoot.
Aren't they called like what are they? There's
like
other names.
A herd of Bigfoot.
Didn't he call like the Red Devil or the Red-Eyed Devil or something like that? Or
that's like
Hunt for Red Eye. I think that's his
let's go with a gaggle of big feet.
There you go.
So let's see if he's got any news on his gaggle. Also, we can find out what a plural version of that is because he informed us that there are, while small in number, there are a number of Bigfoots in North America. So very excited to see where he's at with that. We'll get to him at some point because that does remind me. I need to follow up.
Yeah, I think we should get in touch with him again. Good dude.
Of course. But when we do get him on, we're going to do him the courtesy of letting him know that this is a show, that what you're partaking in is a show. It's a podcast where we interview people. It's a show. And we will get his consent to go on air, unlike this call between Julio Jones and Shannon Sharpe.
Uncle, what's going on, bro? Man, nothing much. About to go meet up with my brother. What's happening with you? Man, look, you want to go to the Cowboys, Julio? Or you want to stay in Atlanta? Oh, man, nah, I'm out of there, man. You out of there?
He's out of there.
Are you going to... Ideally, where would you like to go? Right now, I want to win. Okay. Well, don't go to Dallas. If you go, you ain't winning in Dallas, Julio. You already... Uncle, what's going on, bro? Man, nothing much.
And at that moment in time, someone in the production room was screaming in someone's earpiece saying, "Tell him we're live! Tell him we're live!"
Well, that's the thing. Like, Eagle, you would never let me do that. Ever,
no, the moment you pick up your phone, I have someone running on the set to rip it out and throw it away. Like that.
Yeah.
How did you bring your phone onto the set to begin with? Like, that's not a thing.
That said...
Well, there's commercial breaks.
You're not here. Who knows what's going to happen?
I'm just gonna hang
Who
up
knows who I'll call? Maybe my mom.
I guarantee you that he knew he was on speaker.
It's possible. If not, it's the end of Shannon Sharpe's career because A, it's illegal. B, which NFL player would ever talk to him if he betrayed the confidence that way? Yeah. I know either way, Julio's not upset about it. It looked, as I watched it over and over, it kind of felt more and more like a work, so to speak. Like the two planned it together. And so that might be the case. I hope it's the case for the benefit of everyone involved. It's also possible just because Julio Jones doesn't really make a ton of media appearances. So I think that he might have seen this as a way to help him break the ice on, get the information out there, but also don't have to put your name on it. Like, you can make Shannon Sharpe the story. Because prior to this, I don't know if you guys remember this. The only Julio Jones story I knew is he lost an earring, a diamond earring, and had hired a team of scuba divers to try and recover it from Lake Lanier, which is just outside Atlanta. Sorry?
Did they find it?
No, Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is an awesome lake to drink on. I would never touch it with my skin.
So there's probably 1 million diamond rings down there.
It swallows diamond rings. There's this story because it's built on a flooded town, and it was at one point a stronghold for the KKK. And so there's a theory that there's a bunch of evil spirits that steal your shit from the lake. Like it's sort of like a thing that people say about Lake Lanier. I looked it up before my first trip there, and I was like, it's kind of cute. It's a funny little story about the lake.
I love it. Do we have any lakes around here that are like that? I mean, I guess the
Lake Champlain has the fake Loch Ness monster, the Champy.
What?
Yeah, Lake Champlain. When I was a kid, we used to go and used to take the cruise from Plattsburgh to Burlington, and when you cross that lake, it's Lake Champlain. They tell all the kids that if you look carefully, you'll see Champ. And then my parents would set up on opposite sides of the boat and call out, "Oh, I see him!" So my brother and I would sprint to one side and then sprint to the other side. And then by the time we got to Burlington, we were asleep because we were exhausted from running. My parents are geniuses and kids are dumb.
Kids are dumb, and your parents got hammered that night, and they had 100%. All kinds of sex.
Hammered and guaranteed sex. That's what that night was. So good for them. No, the thing with seeing this though with Julio Jones, what I'm surprised by is Skip Bayless's super fake reaction about he's not staying in Atlanta. Didn't we talk about a month ago how Atlanta was up against the cap and basically have to get rid of Julio Jones after June 1st?
Skip
Like I don't
Bayless
know, I had
is
a conversation with John or on the or like in on the show itself.
Skip Bayless is probably the worst person to hide. Like he's the worst actor. Like he can never play a role. His only role he can play is the heel. He can't play anything else. Like
And he's great at that, by the way.
he's like Elvis. He's like Elvis when he wanted to act. Just fucking let him sing all his dialogue. Remember that bitch from Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
And he just like fucking let him sing all his dialogue. It's the same thing with Skip Bayless. He has to be the heel. He can't do anything else. He's like, so he's leaving. Wow, I'm shocked. Go fuck yourself, Skip Bayless.
Well, because
fuck.
again, so they knew the cap was coming down because there was no football income last year. So there's a FRI, football related income, that's specified in CBA. That helps define the total amount of money, and then that money is then split as per the terms of the CBA. And so if you didn't make money last year at the gate, obviously there's less money. So they knew going to the offseason that this was going to be an issue. They didn't really address it. So we knew basically by the time of the draft that Julio was not going to be on the team. Again, like I said, I don't know if this was like a private conversation or if we actually talked about it on the show, but I've been aware of this for over a month, so I don't know why this is surprising.
I don't think we've spoken about it on the show, but yeah, we've mentioned it in our group chat 100%.
Okay.
A bunch of times. I think it was pretty common knowledge that Julio Jones is going to leave. I mean, they couldn't afford him. He's one of the best receivers in the league, still is. He's going to get paid. His value is a lot more than what the Falcons are going to be able to offer. The Falcons are in this weird stage where they have like where every team goes through. Where they have too much money on the cap, and they're going to have to cut some salary. And they usually a big star goes. It's usually a receiver that's a little over 30. He's kind of at the peak of his career, about to hit the downfall, and that's where the Falcons are, and they're just a clusterfuck of an organization right now. Like their roster is garbage, and they spend way too much money.
Well, but Calvin Ridley looked excellent all last season. Kyle Pitts, I think, is a nice weapon as well for
Todd Gurley.
Ryan,
Todd Gurley had some shines, but he got injured. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, well, Todd Gurley at this point is not a workhorse, but still nice piece to have, and they'll add to that, I'm sure. But yeah, I think he's out. They were offered a second-round pick at the draft, apparently, and they were trying to hold out for a first-round pick, but it appears as though that's because everyone knows Atlanta's up against the cap. That's kind of what the market's going to be, because no one's going to reach for it because they know that between June 1st and the offs and spring training, there's a specific date, of course, which I don't remember on the show.
Do you think if that wasn't the date, though, he would have gotten a first?
If they weren't up against the cap, they have a better chance of getting the first. I think a team that sees themselves as a weapon away might do it. You know what I mean? Because who you drafting in the first round, that's Julio Jones for the next 4 or 5 years, right? So
yeah, you know what I'd love to see? Julio going to Green Bay.
So,
of course, you'd love to see that.
And it's funny you mentioned that, Eagle, because you're doing the excellent job of transitioning to the next topic. The rumor now is, and I don't know if this is an actual rumor or just fans sort of putting the pieces together. The fans saying, if you trade him to the Packers, that's a weapon that might keep Aaron Rodgers happy. Aaron Rodgers finally addressed the press on Kenny Mayne's last show on ESPN, which is kind of Kenny Mayne dropping his dick on the table. Let's have a look.
With my situation, look, it's never been about, never been about the draft picking Jordan. I love Jordan. He's a great kid. He a lot of fun to work together. I love the coaching staff, love my teammates, love the fan base in Green Bay. It's incredible 16 years. It's just kind of about a philosophy, and maybe forgetting that it is about the people that make the thing go. It's about character. It's about culture. It's about doing things the right way. And a lot of this was put in motion last year, and the wrench was just kind of thrown into it when I won MVP and played the way I played last year. So this is just kind of, I think, the spill out of all that. But look, man, it is about the people, and that's the most important thing. Green Bay has always been about the people, from Curly Lambeau being owner and founder, to the 60s with Lombardi and Bart Starr and all those incredible names, to the 90s teams with Coach Holmgren and Farvey and the Minister of Defense, to the run that we've been on. It's about the people.
I mean, you couldn't have said it better from a guy. He's from California, but he sounds like he has like a southern accent. That's why I'm always confused with Aaron Rodgers. Anyway, but he hasn't said anything wrong in all of this, and somehow some people paint him as the villain.
But he hasn't said anything at all until this interview.
But even at that, even what he said, like in this interview, he said, "Listen, I like the coaching staff. I like everything. It's just that it seems like their philosophy is a little skewed, and I don't want any part of that." And Aaron Rodgers is. We've seen it in his personal relationships, in his family, the way he's conducted himself. He does not give a shit about what you think of him. If he feels that something's wrong, he's gonna end it, and that's basically what he's been doing his entire life. And you can't fault him for living that way when most people would do the same thing. If I have a job that I don't like their philosophy, I'm gonna quit that job.
Yeah,
right? It's the same thing.
We have, our sort of philosophy and our methodology at Hot Sauce Sports. Our one of our first partners didn't see eye to eye. We're still all on good terms. It's all good. Like
he still gets his guests once in a while.
Yeah, and we had a writer walk away. That kind of stuff happens in an organization of any type.
Well, I mean that writer. I mean, whatever.
But just to say,
don't get me started on that guy.
These kinds of things happen in an organization. You're not always going to see eye to eye. You're not always going to be sort of on the same page. And in that organization, it appears as though he feels there's a fundamental difference between how the Packers see their future and how he sees his future. And I don't think, to his point, like we've all made it about player personnel, right? We've made it about how for years and years and years, he's had, sort of one good receiver, no one ever particularly great in the way that we expect. Like they never drafted a guy like Julio Jones, right? Who was supposed to be the immediate threat when he walked into the league. But we've made it about that. He's just basically saying, look, they're making decisions. It doesn't seem as though they're decisions that work well. If I'm going to be the quarterback of this team, I don't think we can work together in the future. That's all it seems to me.
So can we read between the lines and figure out what the direction the GM and the exec office wants to go in? That's such a different thing here. Like, are they going into almost like transition / rebuild mode?
They don't want to extend them another 5 years. Isn't that it? Like,
yeah, but why don't they want to?
Are they rebuilding?
They want to go into? They want to either win right now and then go rebuild almost right away, right? It's got to be that.
So I think that the Packers kind of got lucky. So I was having this conversation, and we'll talk about hockey in a little bit, but I was having this conversation with Christian Johnson Galvez, one of our guys from Healthy Scratch. And I was saying that, a lot of teams sort of build up these very great teams with mediocre goaltending. But in my lifetime, I went from basically, with very little in between, Patrick Roy to Carey Price, right, as being the goaltender in the city. Green Bay is one of the few cities, other than Indianapolis or Pittsburgh, where they kind of went from quarterback to quarterback.
San Diego.
Well, yeah, but it's uncommon to see a team basically draft a guy, groom him, and he then becomes the next Hall of Fame quarterback. Like that's what Jordan Love is walking into, right? Like if anything, he has to not love the fact that he got drafted by the Packers.
Yeah.
Given
he must be like there's way too much pressure right now.
He's got to be at least as good as Aaron Rodgers, if not better.
He has to win one MVP at least, and if he doesn't, it's an automatic fail. Has Brett Favre ever won the league MVP? Or did he? He didn't even win the Super Bowl MVP when they won the Super Bowl. I don't think he won league MVP. He has the most interceptions and most touchdowns of all time. Like it's fucking pretty crazy. Well, not anymore. Tom Brady passed him for most touchdowns, but Tom Brady had to play 79 years in order to do it. But yeah, I mean, listen. The Packers, I think they're on a rebuild mode, but they're too scared to say
he
it.
Won the MVP 3 times.
Brett Favre?
97, 90, 95, 96, 97.
Oh, okay, but was it back then? I think they just did NFC, AFC MVPs, right? I don't think they had an NFL.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, yeah. Because that was like primo Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders. Who else was playing? But Steve Young was back then. There's a lot of guys back then. I mean, I could be wrong. I have no idea. But like I was saying, that like the Habs, like them, like, it seems like they can never admit they're doing a rebuild. For the Packers, if they just say, yeah, we're getting younger, we want to be able to build another dynasty for another 10 years, then I don't think the fan base in Green Bay, who are loyal to a fault almost, I don't think they should be saying anything. And Eagle, as a Packers fan, I think you would appreciate a little transparency. The same thing happened in Chicago this year with the Blackhawks, is where they come out, the Chicago Blackhawks front office comes out and says, yeah, we're rebuilding. Then Jonathan Toews, the captain, Evander Kane, best American hockey player of all time, come out and they're like, well, we didn't know they were rebuilding. They didn't tell any of the vets that they're rebuilding.
Yeah. But nice to know.
Yeah.
Let's just take a look at Kenny Mayne's last words in the interview and last words at ESPN after being told to take a 61% pay cut before deciding to go their separate ways.
Fucking Kenny Mayne, the
best. Last
best.
time we did the interview together, you told me to go heavy in the cryptocurrency game. I did. We're down 40%. Then I lost my job. Gretchen just wants a new comforter. You, Aaron Rodgers. Just last thing. Last time we did the interview together, you told me to go.
I love it, man. The Kenny Mayne, he's
I
the
just
only guy
that in as a tribute because I think a lot of what we do, man, when Kenny Mayne started working for ESPN, the sports were taken so seriously.
Yeah.
People forgot that sports is supposed to be for fun. And man, I don't know if we ever get the idea of doing a show like this, if not for a guy like Kenny Mayne breaking down barriers as early as he did.
I looked forward to the main event every Sunday, NFL Countdown. Just that 5 minutes. I looked forward to that 5 minutes every Sunday. The guy he's amazing, man. He knows it. He's one of the only guys at ESPN that actually gets how life works. Everybody takes himself so seriously, Like there's Scott Van Pelt, who's great. There's Adam Schefter, who's great too. But for the most part, if you look at Stephen Jones, he plays Stephen Smith.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, he plays like a role, like a character. But like Max Kellerman takes himself too seriously. Like all their main people, they're pretty like straight edge, boring. Like they don't get it. But Kenny Mayne gets it. Like he gets what the world needs, and he gives it to us.
The world,
you know what?
Kenny...
Good for him. Good for him that he's gone. Le Batard's gone too. You know what? ESPN.
But it seems like all the people who were just having fun.
They're on a rebuild. They're on a rebuild.
No, and nobody.
They didn't tell any of their staff.
They didn't tell any of their staff.
We've been putting up some live streams for some hockey games, and I say it every time. This is my favorite time of the year for sports. The NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs. If you have multiple screens like all of us do, it is the best. I'm having a great time. Honestly, our Habs are down, and it looks like they're pretty much down and out. But still been a great playoff season overall. Have you caught any of the Florida and Tampa series?
That's the only series where I haven't watched a minute. The
Really?
only series, yeah, but apparently it's been pretty crazy. I mean, I've seen the highlights. I just haven't watched them live.
I was hyped by it because I liked a lot of what the Panthers were doing this season, and it was kind of exciting to see them, get back to the Van Beesbrook era, where the last time they were great, basically like 20 years ago, like any other team in Miami other than the Heat. But it was. It hasn't really gone their way, and there was something in common I found between sort of the Canadian series and the Florida Panthers series is that both these teams seem to be quote unquote ahead of schedule, right? Neither team had a lot of expectations coming into the season. Montreal a little bit more because of what happened in the bubble. People forget how bad they were before the bubble happened and before they upset Pittsburgh last year. But in general, this was a team that's sort of, supposed to be young, starting to phase out the older talent and starting to bring up the newer talent.
And then they brought in three old guys.
And then they brought in a bunch of old guys because in Montreal you can't just rebuild. But the series starts, and Cole Caulfield doesn't play in the first game. Something I didn't understand because he was great at the end of the season, and now seeing him play in the last couple of games, he looks absolutely impressive.
He's a good player.
And then
solid player.
I see something similar in the Florida Panthers trot out Bobrovsky, where we all knew he wasn't going to play well. He hadn't been playing well for most of the season. Fine, you're going to go Drieger. I get it. Drieger also chased. And then after Spencer Knight allows the first goal. He stops the next 36 shots and was essentially insanely great. And I don't understand how the baby boomer logic of the NHL executives of, you can't bring in the young guys, experience wins. It's a new era, is it not? Like, am I just wrong as the hockey outsider here?
No, the thing is that a lot of people, like, let's say Caulfield, who get drafted. Caulfield is an example, like, he's a weird example in this case, but a lot of guys, they play in the NCAA and, they mature in college and then they come in at 22, 23 and they're ready right away. So the league is getting a lot younger. There's no more like 30, like very rarely you'll find like a 36-year-old guy that makes an impact on a team in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You want your vets in there for sure. But a guy like Caulfield, how the fuck is he not playing in the first game? And then you put him in the last 5 minutes when you're down 2-1 in the second game. So what are you trying to tell this kid? Like, you're not good enough for the playoffs? About, hey, I need a goal. I need you in there. Like, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that bothers me the most is if you're gonna say, okay, he's not ready for the playoffs, then fine. Be consistent. But clearly the kid has a fucking knack for the net. Fucking put him in there, man. Put him, like, the Habs suck this year. He's the only fucking shining light.
He's been their best player in the series as well. He's the only one that's seemingly trying to make something happen. It's been frustrating to watch.
They're outmatched. They're completely outmatched.
Which is fine. Like we knew that. And the thing is, it's not like anyone realistically expected Montreal to make a deep run. So if that's the case, what's the harm in putting what's going to harm this guy's career other than getting the experience that he apparently needs?
Yeah, exactly. So not only that, it's like next year, it's like, okay, what if Ducharme decided not to play him this year? And then next year, it's like, oh, well, Caulfield didn't play in the playoffs last year. So, like, put him in this year. Expectations are very low. You're playing with house money at this point.
Except Habs Twitter.
Yeah, except Habs Twitter. Put all three of them in. All three of the young guys in. You know what I mean? Suzuki, KK, and fucking Caulfield. Put Caulfield on a line with Suzuki and Perry, and you'll see what's going to happen. Some magic might happen. You know what I mean? It's frustrating to watch. And, I like Ducharme as a coach. I hope that he sticks around and he's able to figure it out and that we see some success. I only wish success for Ducharme and the Habs. But it's frustrating to see just some of the weird decisions that he's been making so far.
But and Ducharme was supposed to be the progressive one, right? Like, that's why they brought him up. They're really excited about him. And then he does the same thing that all the old coaches do, right? So that's kind of frustrating.
They sit on their rookies.
Speaking of things looking like they're going to change and staying the same, the New York Knicks. I kind of felt bad. Julius Randle, unfortunately, was terrible in his first playoff game. Derrick Rose played out of his mind. But in the end, Trae Young, New York's new villain, very reminiscent of Reggie Miller.
Best shooter of all time.
Not the best shooter of all time. Trae Young's far and away a better shooter than Reggie Miller, but
no, he's not. Fucking take that back. I'm throwing my pen at you.
Good player.
Take it back.
But aside from actual ability and whatnot, Reggie Miller breathed life into that series back in the day, and Trae Young's kind of done that by shushing the crowd as they as they showered him with F-bombs. And then we get Mayor Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City,
who
wore an open shirt with a Nets jersey under it last week. Here's his response to Trae Young.
This is about basketball. I have an important official announcement. This is very serious. Want to get this out? Message to Trae Young on behalf of the people of New York City and anyone who cares about actually playing basketball the right way. Stop hunting for fouls, Trae. I want to quote Steve Nash, one great player, great coach. He says, quote unquote, that's not basketball. Trae, that hawk's not going to fly in New York City. Come on. Play the game the right way. See if you can win. I think the Knicks are going to teach you a lesson.
He's lost
this
so
is
many
about
points.
Basketball.
The cringe is real.
Yeah, Bill DeCringio. He's lost so many points with the New York faithful because of all the lockdowns and all that shit that he's really cringy when he's trying to get them all back now. For you wearing a Nets jersey the other day, now he's wearing a Knicks jersey. Knicks hat. I don't mind that because he's the mayor of New York, not the mayor of New York City, not of Manhattan. You know what I mean? So I don't mind that at all. What I mind is that he's using the reference of the rival team of who he's defending, of the coach of who he's defending. He used the reference of the quote from Steve Nash, who's the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, not the New York Knicks. I just find that part is a little bit weird to me.
I find it,
but I'll give him a pass.
It always tickles me when the old white guy quotes the other white guy to tell the black guy how to play the game the white way. And that's all I heard. I thought that was hilarious. Like, no, act like you've been there before. And then Trae Young's basically saying, fuck you, I just sunk your team.
Yeah, like, go fuck yourself. He's see what he said in the hallway? He's like, it's a little quiet out there. It's a little quiet. Trae Young is fucking sick, man. That guy is
I will say, I think Trae Young, the only reason he's getting so much heat from Knicks fans is that hair is terrible. Like, bring it on home, man. Just trim it down. We're in the era. Where bald heads are cool. Michael Jordan made it cool first. You're gonna be there within 2 seasons anyway, Trey. Come on, let's do it. Your hair looks ridiculous. It's looked ridiculous since you got drafted. One quick thing before we get to the interview. I was wrong. It seems about the Nets. They're murdering Boston on both sides of the ball.
Playing defense.
I don't know if it's just Boston being atrocious, because they are. Boston looks completely. And I said this last week. A lot of the teams that made deep runs last season in the bubble they look kind of beleaguered this season.
Yeah.
Boston's the best example of that, but also losing Jaylen Brown, especially defensively, there's nothing that they can do. It was the best game to be betting on hot streak. I know, Terry, you've been on more of a cold streak recently. I was on fire last night betting that game during our live stream. So, guys, if you want to make some money, do download Hot Streak. They will absolutely match your first deposit. Of course, the deposit is given to you in gambling tokens to be earned as you play, and it's been fun. You want to put in some bets about some props, player props. Who's going to get under half a point? Who's going to get over half a rebound? Or whatever you want to tie together. One guy from one team, one guy in the opposite team, 180 seconds. It's a lot of fun. It's especially a lot of fun when you can just pick on the Boston Celtics, because you know they're going to do nothing. So just go on a bunch of unders on them, a bunch of overs on Brooklyn, and you should get a lot of wins in one night. So
I just bet. I just made another bet right now. Joel Embiid and Bertans to get rebounds each, 1 rebound each.
Yeah, I have a Bertans reference coming later in this show.
Oh.
We'll talk about that when we get to rapid fire. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. After our interview, once we get to rapid fire, Terry will update us with regards to his bet. For now, however, we're going to be talking to wrestler Frankie Verrillo of Torture Chamber. And we're back and doing the show actually in order for once, but it doesn't matter because it's not a live show. Joining myself, Pete Delarice, and Terry Tam on our Hot Streak guest line is joining us is Frankie Verrillo, wrestler in Torture Chamber, perhaps the greatest name of any wrestling federation ever. It kind of makes like WWE seem kind of like, kind of for babies, right? Like, Torture Chamber, shit's going down.
3 people die every show. That's a given.
At least, yeah.
It's true. I saw a show once and 3 people died.
Yeah.
But it's always 3. It's always 3. And they didn't really do anything about it. They just kind of like dragged them off and put them under the ring.
There we go.
I wonder what the smell was when I walked in, but I thought Stefan Paulin farted because of all the protein.
It might have just been me.
Just your whole thing, your whole body.
Yeah.
Your whole aura.
Once a week. It's on Thursdays, and the shows are on Sundays. So by then, I reek.
So what's your finishing move?
My finishing move is I jump off the top rope, catch the guy into a DDT, and swing 180 degrees to pin him to the ground.
Who did that?
So it's
Who used to do that?
It's a little scary if the guy's smaller than me, which is pretty much never. It's not something I do. Luckily for me, the guys are always bigger, so I'm not scared of them catching me.
So we have Stefan Paulsen. He's been on the show a couple times. He's a good friend of mine.
Awesome.
He's a great wrestler. So what would be your call out to him if you wanted to call him out right now?
My call out to him, honestly, if it were to face him, I tell him just that he's just too damn good and too complicated, and I just need to shut him up. But as a friend, I say, hey, how's it going? You're a good guy.
Hey,
but
how are
deep down inside, I hate everyone. So it is what it is.
You have that old wrestling hate.
one of the things I always find most interesting about wrestlers is when you're coming up with your alter ego, with your identity, with your character. I'd like to know about the ones that didn't make the cut. So tell us about how you formed your character, and then also like give us the worst one. Looking back, you're like, yeah, thank God I didn't go with that one. That one's pretty bad.
To be honest, I never really gave myself a character. It's just the guy you see out there is me. And I guess I kind of change with the times. And it honestly goes with my mood. There's days where I'm motivated and I want to be there. There's days where I'm tired. The kids pissed me off all night. So I'll be just a little bit angrier. But obviously, I'm Frankie Verrillo. So it's me. Maybe amplified a tad. But at the end of the day, you'll get me. Yes, there's been versions of me early on where, I'm not sure what I'm doing. You bump into the guy and you have that wide stare, like, oh, what the hell do we do next? But at the end of the day, I'm me. We've had other possibilities before I started wrestling where I was supposed to be this kind of this grit, evil, weird, aggressive guy. But I'm pretty laid back, so it's kind of hard for me to go out there and pretend I'm a hick. But it is what it is. So I'm out there. I'm me. I'm angry. If you look at me the wrong way, I might just tell you to go fuck yourself. Very politely, because we're not, it's a family show. We don't swear.
Yes, of course.
We're the chamber is very good for that. And for a guy like me, who
thought that the torture chamber just screams family show.
I know. It's I get what you're saying, but it's very family oriented. You can go there and not really, have to worry about your kids seeing things they don't need to see. It's not true that 3 people die a show. That was just me trying to get some views. But it is what it is. It's like I said, I've never had any failed characters. I haven't been wrestling for 20 years either. But if we're lucky, this is gonna be my failed character.
That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah, it's the dream. It's the dream. The dream is to fail.
So who do you? Obviously, you're a wrestling fan growing up. I don't think there's any young male in North America that wasn't a wrestling fan growing up. So who were your guys? Who were your inspirations? Who were the guys that you followed all the time?
The inspirations are the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the Owen Harts, the Chris Jerichos. Obviously, my biggest, youngest memories are guys like Hulk Hogan. Royal Rumble 90, 91. He's the one who I guess opened my eyes to the sport. But it's the little guys that moved and that that they were very articulate in the ring. Those are the guys that kind of that drew me in. Like I said, the Jerichos, all that, the Owens. It comes down. The big guys has never been my thing because I can't relate.
So it's funny you said that about the small guys. Is that I always appreciated the small because they were always the more entertaining when you saw them in the ring. The bigger guys were always maybe they were better on the mic or they had big moves, slam like a tombstone or whatever. You know what I mean? But a guy to me that never really got the respect he deserved was in WCW. It was Billy Kidman.
Yeah.
Billy Kidman.
He was star press. Yeah, he was something. He was something. I'll admit he's a guy that kind of came to me a little later. I was a Monday Night Raw guy, so the WCW guys, I wasn't all that. I was familiar with them, but they weren't my cup of tea type thing. The show always seemed a little low budget, despite it not being. The money was there, but it was just there was that weird feel to it. But yeah,
it
Kidman
was
absolute. Sorry,
it looked grungy.
In the Monday Night Wars, you wouldn't ever switch back to Nitro?
No, to be honest, I watched Monday Night Raw on TSN, and the prime time of the Monday Night Wars, this is 97, 98, so I'm 10, 11. I'm not really. I don't
I forget that I'm older than everyone on Earth.
What's that?
I keep forgetting that I'm super old.
Yeah, it's just to be honest, I don't even think my parents had the channel that played Nitro back in the day.
Fair.
So,
what was it back in the day?
I don't even know. I know it played, I think, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. for a while. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's either I wasn't aware or I just, didn't cover. I used to watch Arthur on PBS, so it was all about Arthur, man.
Well, I think it was TNT because what's his name owned it.
It was initially on TNT. I don't know who had the Canadian broadcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Canadian, I think it was TSN on the Tuesdays. But it was by the time I caught on, we were talking about NWO Black and Silver.
Yeah.
So you got Jim Jarrett, Scott Steiner. Yeah. Those were the extremely garbage years.
Oh, you didn't like them?
I mean, individually, yeah, but the concept of having 14 different NWOs was just like,
yeah,
it got another thing
to be like.
Sorry, go
ahead, Terry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it got to be like the end of the Spider-Man cartoon show where everyone was a clone. Like the kind of
forgot about that. Forgot about that one.
All the NWOs.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that it became a little ridiculous that like there was like 90% of the roster was an NWO member.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the ridiculous part. But that was just, you could tell that back in the day WWE had much better writers than WCW. WCW was like, we have the money, we can do whatever the fuck we want.
Exactly. Yeah. Even though the WCW went off to buy the WWF writers, and we all know how that ended up.
Yeah, not really well. Not well. But I mean, I was the same thing as you. I didn't really. I followed WCW because you kind of had to. They had some big names, and it was fun. Like Juventud Guerrero back in the day was in WCW, so I like to watch him. Like I mentioned, Billy Kidman. We thought NWO was like super famous thing. Like NWO was.
You had guys like Alex Wright. Alex Wright was a joke because of his dance, but the dude was insane in the ring. Like he knew what he was doing.
That Disco Inferno you're talking about, right?
Well, there was Disco Inferno, but there's the Alex Wright who used to do that weird dance.
Yes.
Guy. Yeah.
I forgot about him.
He was really good, but he was just known as that idiot who danced, and that was about it.
One thing I've always been curious about is how people get into wrestling in the first place. In general, I've never understood combat sports. Terry does jiu-jitsu. I've never wanted to get hit, so it's never really been my thing. But specifically, sort of wrestling, sort of where athletics meets theatrics. Like, what got you into that? How did you start your path onto wrestling?
Yeah, it's to be honest that, like most people my age, there was that backyard wrestling phase where you're breaking your back for absolutely no reason other than the fun of it. I had tried a wrestling school when I was 16. It wasn't much of a school. It was just this weird guy who claimed he was a wrestler and made me train in a boxing ring. And I took such a beating that day that like my mom just like begged me, please don't go back. I don't like seeing you like this. So I was like, okay, I won't go back. Was the beating I took. I was like, is it worth it? And then give or take 8 years later, I'm 24. I moved out. I don't need my mom's approval anymore. I decided to start looking up. One of my cousins had gone into contact with Drew Onyx, which is the head trainer at the Torture Chamber Pro Dojo. And gave him a call, decided to go for it, and never looked back. Never looked back.
Yeah, Drew Onyx he's a legend in the city, man, and it's he was also a good football player too. And the thing about Drew Onyx is that like he's a big guy, but fucking he can move. He can
Absolutely.
move.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
He's someone I've tagged with. I faced him once. And you don't want to get speared by him. I'm 3 feet tall. I weigh 120 pounds wet. I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Did you ever get a chance to train with Kevin Owens? I know he was kind of affiliated a long time ago with Torture.
No, he's been to the chamber a few times, but he happened to be there every single time I wasn't there, which I guess kind of goes with the person I am. I'm a bit of a family-oriented person, so I wasn't at the classes as often as I should have been. To be honest, if it wasn't for Drew kicking me in the ass, I might have never, reached where I wanted to be. Sometimes I could be a bit on the lazy side. I wouldn't want to go. And one day he told me, dude, you're wrestling June 21st, 2014. Be fucking ready. And I'm like, oh shit, I got 2 months to get this shit going. I got no boots, no pants. So I was all in. It's when you say you dive in, I dove in, and that's it. Yeah.
I've seen your outfit, but describe your outfit to the people listening.
My outfit are just plain blue tights with 4 white stars on each side. I got the classic Mr. Perfect white boots with the FV initials on it. And I got black knee pads, and I'll alternate between the high red socks or the high black socks. So sometimes I'll wear one red and one black, depending on how I feel.
Throw people off.
Exactly.
I love it, man. I love the different kinds of outfits. Peace.
If someone's catching up with Torture Chamber now, what are like the main storylines people should look out for? Do you guys have them to carry?
Obviously, the storylines of they've taken a hit in the last year and a couple months because of COVID. But any storyline that's concerning the NWA Canadian Tag Team Champions, which is the Night Train Express, you got Mustafa and Jordan, Stefan, like we were talking about earlier. Those guys are absolutely insane. Everybody that goes after them for those titles, those are very interesting stories. Anything involving, Mike Marston, Drew Onyx, can't go wrong. Towards the end, I was tagging with Kevin Bryan. We're heels, a bit on the goofy side, a little bit maladroit, like we say in French. We find ways to win despite, being a little bit offset. And we kind of like blend in well despite not necessarily having the perfect timing type thing.
So when I came to see you, you looked right at Stefan Pole's son and like told him like, was it you? I'm pretty sure it was you. It was Mr. Wonderful. And you looked right at me. You said something to him. If I bring my nephew, he's a little weasel. Can you just like tell him off?
I would love to.
All right, let's do it.
It's there's nothing I love more than going out there and letting it all out.
Making a little kid cry.
Back sometimes. I've been. That depends what I'm told. I can get a little aggressive. I can go after the wrong people. But I'm a father now, so I kind of try not to aim after the parents. But at the same time, there's often times where I hate my own kids. So it's really easy to hate somebody else's kid or their nephew for that matter. It's part of the game.
Next time my godson tramples through my garden, I'm gonna bring him to one of the events, and you can do whatever you like. Frankie, it's all yours.
Make him wear a very obvious hat, and I'll have fun with him.
For sure. What's going on in terms of you guys now? Like, I would imagine you haven't been able to do events because of COVID, or the restrictions still applicable?
They're still there. I contact Drew every now and then, find out what's going on. I know that the practices are starting to, open up sooner rather than later. I don't have a date because, even the government isn't really like too stable on their predictions. So it's one of those things where, going in the ring, there's not much happening right now. But, I guess I'm keeping up for myself, whether it's, lifting a bit of weights, running, watching a hell of a lot of DVDs. There's a good chance that even after having a year and plus off, I might have like one of my best matches coming back because I'm like, I can't wait to get in there and either give or take the beating. It's all good for me,
So Peas and I, we would be a good tag team, but we wouldn't wrestle. So we call ourselves the Hot Saucers. And but we be those guys that like always like at the end of the fight, we come in and like beat somebody up and then run through the crowd. Like that's what we do. Is there a place for that in Torture Chamber? But we don't want to do any of the practices and like work on our cardio and stuff. We just want to do that.
There's a place for you if you want a legitimate beating. Yes. You got to give it your all. You got to come to these practices, and because if you want to go in front of that crowd, and you'll get a few hits in, but if you just hit the rope wrong, you'll be limping for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, we show up, we do the whole walk down to the ring, and then just as we're supposed to get started, we give someone a suitcase full of cash, and they win the fight for us.
Okay.
They're just two randos in the crowd.
Yeah.
So they would have to get in for you.
Yeah. We coach them from the outside.
Yeah, they don't fucking stand a chance.
We want all the glory and none of the work.
Yeah. I could pitch the idea. There's a good chance it won't happen, but I can pitch it for sure.
Okay, how about this?
We hand Frankie a suitcase full of cash. He jumps off the top.
If you hand anybody a suitcase of cash, it's me for sure.
All right, cool. We'll give it to you, Frankie.
Yeah.
So or we walk down, we do the whole walk, we celebrate, we rile people up, people are cheering, Hot Saucers, and then all of a sudden we just like Peas like pretends he pulled his back, and I'm holding him like he can't do it, and then we walk away, and then the ref just comes in and like lifts the other guy's hands up, and that's basically our shtick. That's a good shtick.
Yeah. Well, so then so you guys are pretty much gonna lose every fight.
Yeah.
But we're injured, so we're not really losing.
Okay.
We withdraw.
So, we're actually undefeated.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're lost.
So it's a good story. No, it's a good.
It's a fantastic story. I'm sure it'll go nowhere, but it's a fantastic story.
And there's a good chance that I don't even have to fake pulling my back. It'll happen anyway.
We're at that age for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Ankles. I'll roll my.
I can't even brush my teeth without pulling my neck.
Yeah.
That's what if you take the suitcase of cash, you get someone to brush your teeth for you.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I forgot I have a girlfriend.
Frankie.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to being able to catch you soon. Hopefully, we'll get you back on as we get closer and closer to things reopening. That way, when you have a show to promote, we'll be happy to do it for you. We love what you guys are doing in Torture Chamber. Again, oddly named for a family venture, but it is absolutely a family venture. It is an exciting place to be.
You don't have to worry about anything. Worst case, I'll spit in their face, but that's all right.
Oh, I would definitely want you to spit in my nephew's face. Yeah. Absolutely.
No, I wouldn't do that though. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to do anything to others that I don't want done to me. So
and you'll have nightmares.
Yeah, no. I just see other people do it on the net, and I get these not panic attacks, but I just get anxious of the thought of like that's just too far. That's just too far.
You're officially the third wrestler I've interviewed. So there's been you, there's been Stéphane Paulin, and Bret Hart. I actually interviewed Bret Hart. Yeah, on a radio show that I hosted years ago, and I wish I could find that copy, but that radio station was so like unorganized. They for sure lost it.
How was that, Terry? I've often heard he's a bit ornery in interviews. He's not always pleasant.
He was so dry, and I fucked up at one point. I said because we were talking about the thing with Owen Hart. It was when he did the documentary. I forgot what it was called, and it was Dark Side of the Ring. Could it be
Shadows?
In the Shadows or something like that. Oh, fuck, I forgot what it was called. Anyway, it was a great documentary. It was about
Wrestling with Shadows.
And it was the one where Owen Hart. It was a documentary about how Owen Hart fell and he died. And at one point, I asked him, I go, "Do you think the proper precautions were taken? Like, what happened?" He's like, "Well, of course, the proper
Wrestling
precautions
with
were
Shadows
taken."
was the name of it, 1998.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, of course, there was no precautions. They weren't taken. They weren't taken properly, or else my brother would be alive." And I felt really bad.
Yeah,
that was the end of the
subjects. That it was such a freak accident that no matter how you come with the conversation, it wasn't a move. It wasn't a car wreck. It was one of these stunts that happened twice in 30 years, and one of those 2 times it just went horribly, horribly wrong.
It's tough, and he just had he was bitter with the WWE at that point, so I think he was just looking for any reason to like kind of hate on them. Anyway, that's what it is. We appreciate you coming on, Frankie, man.
If people want to keep up with the comings and goings of Torture Chamber, where can they find that information?
There's Facebook. You can look up Torture Chamber. There's Instagram. You can look up TC Pro Dojo. That's it. TC Pro Dojo. Just look up Torture Chamber. You can look it up on Google. You can find it on YouTube. Drew Onyx has a Torture Chamber page on YouTube. There's got to be easily 20, 30, 40 matches posted on there. Some of me, some I don't, just maybe 5, 6, 7 of mine. There aren't that many. But you guys want to see guys like Stéphane, Drew. Go for it. There's a ton.
I will put a little preface on this. If you're gonna Google it, definitely search Torture Chamber Wrestling and not just regular Torture Chambers, please.
Yeah.
I think that's just a problem for your algorithm, Eagle.
Yeah, because Eagle, we all know what you do.
Personalized, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all know what Eagle does in the shadows.
Check it out. We do have the. It's going to be in the description of the podcast. We also have it on the screen, but of course there are people who just listen to the podcast as an audio medium, so we want to make sure they got the information. Frankie, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk soon, bud. As soon as we have another show to promote, we'd love to have you on. We'll get into more old school wrestling stories. I love that.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, guys. Very appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Have a good one.
And we're back.
That was an awesome interview. I love talking to wrestlers. They're amongst my favorite guests because they're always entertaining. They know that they're kind of always on, even when they're not in character. They're always kind of in character, and that was the case with Frankie Verrillo. Terry, how's your bet doing?
Actually, it's a good. Oh, my bad. Awful radio. I got a notification that it closed, but I don't know what I got. Let's see. Let's see if Bertans and Embiid both got rebounds, and Bertans did not. So. Fuck you, Bertans.
Goddamn ginger. But if you want to bet on Bertans and any other ginger, come up with a prop of your own. Hot Streak is the place to do it. It's a great app. It's a ton of fun. We do it on all of our shows. Honestly, it's a fun time. If you like fantasy, you like daily fantasy. This is in-game betting, so it's kind of the cross section of all of that. I'm really enjoying it. So is Terry. I'm enjoying Terry losing, though. That's my favorite part of the app so far.
Best.
It's time for rapid fire, Eagle. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with Babbling Brooks. Despite Lefty winning the PGA Championship, the story this weekend was all about the rivalry between Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. This video where Koepka says, "I fucking hate that guy," has been removed from the internet, but of course, Twitter has managed to find it and allow us to...
It's another video. It's actually been removed everywhere on Twitter.
Oh,
but this is
really?
another
Okay.
video between... This is one of the fans and trying to get on... one of Koepka's fans trying to get under DeChambeau's skin. So this is the only other thing I can find.
Right? All right, Brooksy. I think you should be able to clear that, right?
That's amazing.
That's funny.
Whoever just called me Brooks, he needs to get out of here. But that's the thing is like DeChambeau is like, oh my God, man. Like he's so tiring to listen to because he acts like he's this genius. All he figured out was just hit the ball as far as possible all the time.
Yeah.
And you
all
know,
he figured out was a Roy's regime that wouldn't get caught.
No, but he also
excellent.
He also like the way it started was that post round Koepka was doing an interview, and it had to get cut at one point because as he was describing what it's like to putt, Bryson DeChambeau walks behind him and says, "All you got to do is read the line." Like he says it, he kind of like he mumbles it as he's walking behind Koepka in an interview, and you could probably find that. That's everywhere. And,
it's been stripped from the internet.
No way.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Eagle, you know what? Spend the rest of rapid fire. I know you're doing a lot of work during rapid fire.
No, but he does rapid fire. It's in segment.
Spend the rest of rapid fire trying to find the clip. I'm telling you, it's been scrubbed from the internet. It's crazy.
Because he's like, sorry, I just got thrown off because of that bullshit. And then Bryson does that, and then he says, well, don't call me Brooksy. Like, if you're gonna be the asshole, then continue being the asshole. Don't be the asshole, then the baby, and then act like you're innocent. You know what I mean?
What I do like about this is like Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin, right? Like this is a legitimate golf beef.
Well, who's Shooter McGavin? Who's Happy Gilmore?
It was a put on, but these guys fucking hate each other.
Who's Shooter McGavin? Who's Happy Gilmore? Who's the heel in this scenario? Because
Koepka is obviously Bryson DeChambeau. I think Brooks Koepka, despite you know how hard it is to be likable when you have a shitty goatee, and Brooks Koepka has managed to do that. So
no, but I like Koepka. Don't get me wrong.
That's how good he actually is, right?
I like Koepka. Don't get me wrong, but he's more of a Shooter McGavin than Bryson is, and the reason why is because he's more of like the privileged guy, the country club guy. Where Bryson DeChambeau is like he's just a weird nerd. You know what I mean?
It's just fine. You know what? We're Shooter McGavin guys. From now on, this is a Shooter McGavin podcast.
Shooter McGavin guy.
Brooks Koepka, let's go to Red Lobster. Me and you, buddy. Let's do it.
Want to go to Red Lobster?
I've been searching, and yeah, basically what happened was because the rights are owned by whoever was broadcasting the tournament this week, they've disabled it for copyright purposes. So it's actually going to be very hard to find. I can maybe squeeze it, but I'll see.
PGA owned the clip, but PGA is very good at PGA is very good at removing clips. They do it very quick. It's been like the Justin Thomas one. It was removed right away.
I was trying to get someone ripping it from the TV or something, and I couldn't find it at all. I couldn't find any. I spent about 40 minutes on it today. And then I realized this is a giant waste of time.
All right. Speaking of destroying things, oil spill. After a devastating sweep, one of the Scotiabank North Division frontrunners, the Edmonton Oilers, will move forward without Wayne Gretzky in an executive position, who has now accepted a job at TNT, who's going to be broadcasting NHL games.
Boring.
Yeah.
Gretzky has as great as of a hockey player he was, the great one, best of all time, arguably. But he's the most boring human being I've ever heard speak ever.
But other than basketball, where stars are kind of like pushed to sort of be the center of attention, like we've seen with Kobe, Shaq, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, usually the stars in other sports don't show a lot of personality because they were rewarded their entire career for not showing personality. So I don't understand. Good point. Like, is it just to get credibility?
Every analyst now, former player, wasn't like the superstar. Like you have Patrick Sharp, who actually does a very good job. I would have liked him to do it because he's entertaining, he's well spoken, good looking guy, but he has a sick contract with NBC. I would have liked to see, honestly, Paul Bissonnette and Nick Kyprios. Because you have Nick Kyprios, who had a lot of success. He knows the game extremely well. You have Paul Bissonnette, who knows the game well, and he's very well liked in the hockey community, and he has an extremely big following. I don't know why they didn't go after him. Maybe they did, and the money wasn't right, or Barstool.
I don't think he's leaving Barstool because
He doesn't have to leave Barstool. Ryan Whitney was working for the NHL broadcast team,
That's
and
true.
and Bissonnette still works for the Coyotes. He does the play-by-play. He does the color for the Coyotes. Like, you don't have to. Like, Barstool's very like, okay, if you want to do that stuff, you can do that stuff. It just brings them more eyes, if anything else.
That's true. The thing is, to your point, a lot of times it's not the guys who were the stars. And Paul Bissonnette, known in his retirement as Paul Missed the Net, right? That's from the commercial.
But just to say, he's a well-spoken. Even get both of them on. Get Whitney. Whitney's a fucking crazy funny guy. First-round pick. Fucking played for Team USA. Like, all kinds of credentials. And he's a really funny guy. And, bring those two on with a guy like Nick Kibrios, and you don't have an issue. The issue, like, it'll be entertaining. It'll be Shaq and Barkley.
Listen, everyone's doing get the stars, get the Canadian, get the American stars. You do the opposite. You get Alexei Yashin and Sergei Fedorov do a fully Russian broadcast on TNT. So it goes.
Or you just go like, who's the best Kazakhstanian player of all time, and just choose.
I don't know that.
Exactly. I don't think it exists.
I mean,
all right, next.
Who's the best of their country? Yeah.
Father Tim is undefeated. Despite not having played in over a decade, Tim Tebow had the top 5 selling jerseys over the weekend. A reminder, he's not even playing quarterback. He's not playing for his original team, and he's old as fuck, but he's religious.
So Tim Tebow always had the number 1 selling jersey. I think like his Florida jersey was like the number 1 in the country for like 3 years in a row when he was playing. And he's going to sell. Tim Tebow is a fucking marketing selling machine. He just prints money.
Why? I don't understand.
Because he's good, clean, wholesome, athletic. You want to see a comeback story,
I can't wait for him to get cut. So
all the boxes. He's not getting cut. That's the thing. He's going to make the team, but he's not going to play.
So if he doesn't make the team, if he makes the team, you can't use the argument that the NFL is a meritocracy anymore. It's a guy gave his friend a job, because there's no way, after not playing that position his entire life, in his mid-30s, he's going to reinvent himself. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Like, I get that you want to do the Taysom Hill thing. Taysom Hill is so much better an athlete than Tim Tebow ever was.
Do we know that?
Sorry, he is.
Show me.
Tim Tebow was. He's a better thrower of the football than Tim Tebow was.
Arguable.
No, Tim Tebow's best season was 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Really?
Tim Tebow was also the best college football player of all time.
Yeah, cool. He was running over a bunch of skinny kids, no problem. Got it. Cool.
Tim Tebow's best throw was on blown coverage in the wild card game.
Also, it was like a 17. It was a slant. It was a 17-yard slant, and he took it 85 yards to the house.
Yeah, exactly. Demaryius Thomas got him famous for a second, and
for outrunning DBs.
Yeah, Demaryius Thomas's jersey should be the number 1 selling jersey.
Next, Minority Report. Former NFL lineman and NFL assistant coach Eugene Chung was told, apparently, this is allegedly, so not confirmed yet, but he was allegedly told
said so.
Allegedly.
He didn't name anybody.
Exactly. Yeah. He said he wouldn't be considered for a job as head coach because, as a Korean American, he is, quote, not the right kind of minority, end quote. The NFL is investigating.
Stop Asian hate, huh?
So, and then the worst part of this story is when you start reading through the comments. The comments, I have a theory about this. The comments who always say, who cares about the minority angle, just hire the best person for the job, is probably the same person who also says, what the hell? Captain America can't be black? Well, but then how are those two things the same?
No, I don't care. I mean, I'm the same where I'm the first guy you said where it's like, listen, they put the Rooney Rule is you have to interview one person of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is there saying that Eugene Chung doesn't fit into that category?
I think he does.
I think he does.
As far as the rule's actually written.
Anyway, he's a visible minority. So
I think the rule in spirit's important because what happened for a long, long time, and not just in the NFL, is that people generally hired people who they associated with, and people most likely associate with people that look like them. Not the case all the time, but often the case. It's not just here. You've seen it in banking. You've seen it in football. You've seen it in baseball. You've seen it in everywhere, every aspect. So it is important. The rule itself, again, flawed. This is one example of how it's flawed, where clearly it's just to check off a box and not actually solving the issue.
This is where Bruce Arians needs to come in, give Eugene Chung his job, and be like, see, I'm progressive, and I'm going to retire on the top. And Eugene Chung is an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
No? But I'm in the school of thought where the best man for the job for sure, obviously. But if you're not, like, to your point, Pease, you're going to associate yourself to people that usually look like you, but not always the case, and I get that. I'm also not to the point where if, like, James Bond, when Idris Elba said he was offered the James Bond job, everybody freaked out. Why? James Bond can't be black. Why? Show me where there's an image of James Bond that is white.
Because he's also English, and people didn't freak out when Burt Reynolds, who's not English, was
James Bond. So just to say, it's like people just want to get fucking outraged for any reason. So it doesn't matter what color you are. If you're the right man for the job, you're going to get it. And it's the same thing for Idris Elba. I think Idris Elba would be the ultimate fucking James Bond guy. The guy is like a Muay Thai legend. Like he can
help reinvent sort of what's been kind of a stale, series for a long time.
So wait, would you hire Chung or Ilba to be your coach?
I'd hire Eugene Chung to be my head coach and Idris Elba to be his advisor.
I do the opposite.
Such a well-spoken guy, man.
I would do the opposite.
Oh, okay, that makes sense actually.
Why not? Because I'm not hiring anyone.
Shake it up, right?
We're doing anything.
And last topic for today, Flavortown riches. Guy Fieri has recently inked a new contract with the Food Network that is reportedly worth $80 million over 3 years. That puts him somewhere close to $26.6 million annually. If he were to be an NFL player, he would be the 15th highest paid player in the NFL, which would be more than, just on a small list, Tom Brady, Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Jalen Ramsey, and Amari Cooper. So is he your new quarterback for the Flavortown? I don't know, PG had a team name?
Guy Fieri.
The Flavortown Fieries at this point.
Flavortown Fieries, yeah. Because Flavortown is the city.
Yeah.
And there would be the Flavortown
Diners.
Flavors. The
Flavortown
Wowzas.
Is he on Diners Drives? The Flavortown Triple D's.
That's a good. As long as it's not double D's, I think it's gonna be
PC.
You
gotta go one
more.
more.
One more.
I'm a heart attacks.
Oh, it's a good one.
There we go.
I'm a Guy Fieri guy, man. I love that guy. Guy Fieri's unbelievable.
Heartstoppers.
Guy Fieri's unbelievable. Like he's such a guy, underpaid, big time. Such a guy's guy. Ultimate, like super nice guy too. He has all his he saved like 43,000 restaurants or something like that. 43,000 jobs for restaurateurs this year during COVID. Like he's one of the good people we should root for. And I'm happy for Guy.
You can't scroll through Triple D and not stop on it. Like if it's going to be on TV, you're catching the rest of the episode every single time. I want to bet. Oh, congrats, Terry.
I got Trae Young, Ben Simmons, and Russell Westbrook all to get points. They each got 2 points.
There we go. When I saw this, I had to look up like what this meant in terms of basketball money because, like hockey money is kind of low. Football money too is somewhat repressed by the salary cap. Baseball money is completely wild, but the NBA is kind of like a fair comparison. And when I searched $80 million contract, I was expecting to see someone, I don't know, like a guy like Andre Iguodala at one point was supposed to be like the number one guy. I thought he would have gotten something like that. No. Terry, our favorite ginger, Davis Bertans of the Washington Wizards, he's on a 5-year, $80 million contract. So he's not even quite worth Guy Fieri money, which we know. But he did sign for the same total amount. So that's something to watch out for.
Is he going to be another Ken Bazemore where I'm going to freak out in 10 years and be like he was a maxed out salary?
So the max is so high now he's not maxed, but 5 years, $80 million is his contract.
And he couldn't even give me a rebound in 3 minutes.
Couldn't get you a single rebound. It's like the 8th time you pick him, by the way.
Yeah, because I'm like, this guy's bound. It's like one of those things where, okay, it's bound to happen, right? Like he's going to get a rebound eventually. He only
gets from foul line to foul line, right? Like he never actually gets into the paint.
It's fucking crazy, man. He's very slow.
He sets a pick and again gets on the bench.
But it's going to happen. He's going to get a rebound, and I'm going to catch it. I'm going to fucking catch it. Please. I'm going to catch it.
That was a good show.
And that's our show for today, boys.
Yeah. Good job, Eeks. Scrambling around today. Appreciate it. Too bad you couldn't find us the video. Told you it didn't exist anymore. Terry, thank you for everything you did today. Frankie Verrillo was awesome. Love talking to him. Great show today, guys. Thank you for everything you've done. Remember to watch. Remember to like. Remember to subscribe. We're going to be playing the Uncle Mike's tournament. So if you haven't yet subscribed to us, please do so. We're going to be posting some stuff on Instagram Live. We'll be around all day long. It'll be a bunch of nonsense stuff going on. So definitely do check it out. Do buy Mike's barbecue sauce. Do download Hot Streak. Also, if you see us at the golf tournament, Terry wants you to buy him drinks. He told me that before the show. He says he hates buying himself drinks. He gets nervous talking to other people. Definitely buy him drinks if you see him. But most of all,
I love how you called it Uncle Mike.
Oh my God! Oops, Freudian slip there. Thank you all for letting me be myself, except for Uncle Mike. I thank you for nothing.